be.
Chased validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa, I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. We didn't have any surprises over the past 24 hours, so that's good. We have that they are still doing some talks right now. I have to touch base with that flood that occurred in California recently, but unfortunately, I have not gotten the details of it. And since I haven't gotten the details of it, I didn't want to make a big spotlight on this situation simply because it happened. But since somebody talked to me about it yesterday, I'm like, I probably should touch base with it at some point during the week. So I'm going to try to see if I can get some more information on it over the weekend. And whenever I come across a snippet of it, I will be able to special news bulletin that across the show so that you guys can see what is up. In addition to that, what we have is today we're going to be talking about starting the smart dating tips for money-minded individuals. And it's playing off of yesterday's scenario where we're making better business decisions in our relationships with our financial constraints, since we understand that a lot of the times we have that hiccup in our relationship with finances, specifically because we're not on the same page as our partner. Now, I started talking to you guys about that yesterday, about getting on the same page with your partner, but I'm going to go into more detail about that today. I do believe I have an engagement at about 1 o'clock tonight, so I got about 2 hours of time to talk to you guys about the full effect. Yep, got a new client coming in. So I got at least 2 hours to talk to you about the information. So that's what we're going to be spending our time on. Supposedly, there has been a visit to the Fort Knox scenario. So I'm going to be getting that information as to, I told you before, when they went in there, what they found, if they've actually been there already. And then we'll be able to make further discussions on what the Trump administration is doing on Monday of next week. We already have some shows scheduled over the next 7 days scattered about, because we have our England topic that's going to be coming up next week, Wednesday, because we do a different country every Wednesday. We have business and finance discussions on Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is basically going to be talking about money, but we're going to be talking about specifically how the Trump administration is impacting the government and how those decisions will trickle down to the average everyday person. So we got a lot of different things that we're talking about on this and that, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. But here, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we typically talk about self-improvement, social improvement, network improvements, basically trying to get yourself situated in a fashion where you're making better decisions for yourself, you're making better decisions for your family, you're making better decisions for your relationships, for your network, and ultimately putting yourself in a position where you and the people that you affiliate with can all be successful together. I mean, if you all have the same mindset, of course. So make sure that you guys, as you're popping in today, make sure that you guys like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. Also, if you guys have the ability to join the membership, you can do that. I know that Usman asked me yesterday to put up a list of red flags that men should pay attention to. I'm going to be putting up several lists. I'm going to be throwing them into the membership. So there's your incentive to get into the membership. I'm going to be creating documents as we go along. Also, since I understand that there's a lot of information that I do gather, we touch base on it, and then we kind of walk away from those scenarios. That as I gather this information, I will be putting the any details beyond the facts that I provide on the live podcast. I'll be putting the details to that in the membership. So we will start to expand on the exclusiveness of some of the information that I'm gathering for you guys, but I will be providing most of the stuff to you guys in real time on the live podcast. Now, for any individuals that want the information a second time, if you don't get it out of the membership, you will get it off of watching a post live show where I've already played it once before or said it once before. You go back and watch that video and you see what's going on over there. So if you guys want to jump onto the show, just note that you can click that link. You can approve the mic, approve the camera to bring you on in real time. You got to be over the age of 18 to dive onto the show. So if you're not looking like you're over the age of 18, then I won't be bringing you up onto the show. But if you do present yourself as appropriate and above the age of 18, we'll bring you up onto the show. Everyone else, feel free to produce your comments in comment sections. We are very liberal about your ability to make comments, but they have to be reasonably appropriate, because since we understand that it is not exclusively an 18 and older podcast, we do have young adults like Nico, who's 17, and Max Opposer and Lucas Opposer, who attends with their father, Joe. We understand that there are individuals here that are under the age of 18. So we want to make sure that we keep our community guidelines in check. So if your abilities, if your comments start to get too egregious or directly related to hate speech of some sort, then it'll definitely be removed. However, it is an open mic, open-minded, open forum podcast where you have the ability to disagree with my position, provide facts, logic, reason, or just go off your personal feelings and just disagree with me. And I respect that. We will air it on the show. You just got to note that I make it make sense. I come off of logic and reason and primarily uniformity. So I'm not going to come off of a self-righteous or biased perspective. And I don't have to agree with you, and neither should you be required to agree with me, but we can understand the foundation of where our differences of agreements come from. So with that being said, first 10 minutes of the show has passed by. Join me as I put the dating skills that we experience on a day-to-day basis to the test with some smart tips specifically for the money-minded folks. We're going to see if we can find a match that gets us a good financial vibe. So when it comes to dating, we often focus on finding someone who shares our values, interests, and personality traits. But what about financial values? For those of us who prioritize financial responsibility, it's essential to find someone who aligns with our money mindset. In today's show, we'll explore some smart dating tips tailored specifically for individuals with a focus on financial matters. Typically, the bottom 99%, you guys should take notes here. But dating can be challenging. And when financial mindsets differ, it can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts. So have you ever gone on a date with someone who casually drops hundreds of dollars on a single night out? Ladies, I know that y'all have, some of y'all at least, most of you probably have experienced this at least once in your life. Even if you're a two, you've experienced this once in your life, whether you were the wing woman to the woman that was getting it all, or, if you were the woman that was being lavish with it all. Fellas, I know that you've experienced this in your life where you were the person that was casually dropping hundreds of dollars on a single night out. Now, fellas, have you experienced a situation where someone was dropping hundreds of dollars on a single night out for your entertainment, not at your financial expense? That's a counter question. Now, while you're over here wondering how they plan to pay off their credit card debt, or maybe you're the one who's always saving for the future, but your partner is more of a YOLO spender, where you only live once and it's like, fuck it, why not? These differences can lead to frustration and resentment if not addressed. For instance, let's say you're on a date with someone who always wants to splurge on expensive restaurants and luxurious items. At first, it might seem exciting, but if you're someone who values frugality and saving, you might start to feel like your partner is reckless and irresponsible. On the other hand, if your partner is super frugal and never wants to spend money on anything, you might feel like they're too restrictive and boring. Another alternative to this scenario is that you could be the one expected to pay for the lack of frugalness and reckless spending, and you might be misrepresented in the fact that you would prefer to save and invest this money on a better future as opposed to playing to the tune of the here and now. Special shout out to Red Void, Omni81, and Liberty Twitcher over on Twitch side. I see you guys popping in. Also, special shout out to Twitter, Twitter X. I see you guys coming in as well. The thing is that while we address these issues, you have to understand that the key to finding someone who shares your financial values and is willing to work together to achieve your financial goals is important. These are the things that I tell you guys you're supposed to be paying attention to on the first date, not how much he impresses her and not how much she is willing to put out for him. It is, do your interests align with one another financially? Does he have the characteristics that you're looking for? Does she have the characteristics that you're looking for? Are you guys willing to put effort into each other's personal expectations? Because the goals that I had before I met you, I'm still going to try to achieve them. The goals that you had before you met me, you're still going to try to achieve them. You have to know that I'm going to aid you in achieving your goals, and I have to know that you're going to aid me in achieving my goals. When both partners are on the same page, it can bring a sense of security and stability to the relationship. But how do you navigate these challenges, especially in the early stages of dating? One particular tip is to communicate openly about your financial goals and values, like we had discussed yesterday. Ask your partner about their spending habits, saving strategies, and financial aspirations. And this is like a first date question. She wants to know what you do for a living. You want to know how she spends your money. What is her intentions on spending your capital gains? Be willing to listen to their perspectives and share your own. Now, this isn't a political debate. Whether or not he or she spends their money responsibly or not is none of your concern, outside of whether or not you want to be a part of their spending habit. So you are not judging them negatively if they do not share the same spending mindset that you do. They may not have the same investment mindset that you do. You also understand that they may not be willing to explain to you their financial situation on the first date, but if they do have the capabilities of investing percentages and talking to you about percentages, they're able to tell you approximately how much of the general income that they bring in that they invest in savings and other stocks and bonds and other investment opportunities. They can express to you exactly how much is their overhead versus the revenue received. Where your money comes in is not important on the first day. How much money you make on a monthly, weekly, yearly basis is not important. But out of the quantity of money that you make, what do you think the percentage of money that you have to cover expenses is? 70%, 80%, 95%? Do you have a discretionary spending limit? Do you have a budget for discretionary spending, or do you just take what you have left and spend that instead of investing it? These are simple questions that you can have on the first date, alongside getting to know their personality traits. And if not the first date, definitely the second or third date. If you decide that you might be considering committing to a long-term relationship, and people say, well, you can't commit in the first 3 dates. Bro, if I intend, or if you intend on prioritizing the other person's time for the foreseeable future, where this isn't the last time we're going to see each other, this isn't the last time we're going to engage each other, that is a commitment. The subconscious commitment that you are going to invest more effort and more time into seeing the same person again and again and again, with no limit as to how many more times you will engage this person. You are committing to that person. Now, you're not necessarily committing to be exclusive to that person. Some people might have a different person every week, where they got 4 or 5 different people that they talk to every month until they decide to lock down one. But when you decide for any number of individuals, if I'm going to see you every week from now on, I'm committing to you at some level, which also means that once you get to that point, you should be able to already know what their interests are when it comes down to finances. Because if you don't want a wasteful person, or if you don't want a gold digger, you're not going to want to go past the third date if they're spending up all of your money. You understand what I'm saying? So it might feel uncomfortable at first, but trust me, it's better to have these conversations early on rather than waiting until it's too late. Because the longer it happens that you guys aren't talking about the big issues and allowing things that you don't approve of to occur, the harder it is to make the change. So from the beginning, you have to make sure that you stand on some non-negotiable expectations for behavior and make it apparent to your partner, your significant other, that there are certain things that you would prefer not to happen, at least in the first 5 days, that you would prefer not to happen. And the longer that you guys engage each other, you are going to set the par that you expect this to not happen. Now, while people make mistakes, there are certain things that should never happen as a mistake. And once those scenarios are addressed, that's when we understand that we're not allowing unsatisfactory behaviors in our relationships. Now, another tip is to share financial goals together. Now, this can be as simple as saving for a joint vacation or working together to pay off debt. This usually happens in a longer existing relationship where you guys have already committed to one another. You guys have been together for a while. You might have already moved in together, or you're considering moving each other in to the other person's residence. And when you guys start considering combining incomes, combining assets and resources, this is where you guys might start considering doing things on a joint fashion. Having a shared financial goal can bring a sense of unity and purpose to your relationship. You can also identify potential red flags in your partner's financial behavior. For example, if they consistently overspend or hiding their financial transactions from you, that's a major red flag. So we also want to point out some of the other ways that we can embrace a new financial etiquette. There's a term called loud budgeting. If you engage in open financial discussions without stigma, this can help avoid awkward situations and promote financial harmony. You're less likely to be in a situation where you don't have enough money to cover the dinner or the date because you guys knew that you were going to stay inside of a specific budget. Understandably, being able to talk about the things that you want and need in your relationship is going to become a necessity to make sure that nobody gets left undone. So when we are trying to avoid these awkward situations, you want to make sure that you set non-negotiable expectations for behavior when it comes to your spending behavior. You want to clearly communicate your financial priorities and set some boundaries to avoid misunderstandings. You want to respect and adhere to the expectations of your partner. Notice, I'm not saying that the ladies need to bow down to the men. I'm not saying that the men should bow down to the women to show that they're loyal to the women. I'm saying that on both sides of the table, if you have expectations, financial expectations that you are trying to meet, that your partner needs to respect that and adhere to that. And you should be able to respect your partner's financial expectations and adhere to that, meaning that you're going to do what it takes to help them achieve their goals, and they're going to do what it takes for them to achieve your goals. But it has to be reasonable expectations, not unrealistic expectations. You want to strive for financial independence to foster individual responsibility and respect within the relationship. We have to, more than just inside of the financial realm, in all areas of the relationship, especially when women want 100% transparency from their men. Ladies, we're going to have to create a judgment-free zone. Okay? And this is clearly important because if you set aside time to discuss financial issues without judgment, if you set aside time to discuss the poor decision-making skills of the day, the week, the month, this can help address any financial tensions or goals. It'll also help you address any common mistakes or any unexpected circumstances that were beyond your control, where now collateral damage is needed, and it is a team effort to fix the problem. So while you both might have not have been involved in the mistake, you are both involved in rectifying the mistake, which means that you both must be aware of the full magnitude of the mistake. Now, without judgment means that if your homeboy comes and says, I fucked up, you're supposed to be like, all right, let's fix this. So in your relationship, if your girlfriend or your wife says, I did something I probably shouldn't have, or I made a mistake, you're not going to judge her. So ladies, that means that if the man comes back and says, look, I have a problem, this went down this way and this way, you should be able to not judge him, not throw it up in his face later, not use it as ammunition to start up an argument later on, months or years down the line. This is a scenario where you recognize that an error has occurred that will negatively impact the household, and you will fix it to the best of your ability. Now, you want to set concrete outcomes. You want to decide on specific financial goals that you're going to try your best not to waver on, such as reducing expenses, and work together to achieve them. So if you're reducing expenses, even if you really want to buy makeup every time you go to Target, if you can't go to Target without buying makeup, we're just not going to go to Target until the budget has been balanced. That is how you work that situation out. If I like to eat out and I've got to get steak every time I go out to certain places, we're not going to those places if we're trying to stay beneath a steak budget. Whatever the case may be, if you are supposed to be living in a specific standard of reduction of expenses, turning off certain subscriptions and memberships. If you're not using that gym membership, then drop it. But if we can add the other person on and we can share the membership where one of us is benefiting from the monthly regimen, then let's share the membership. We can cancel the membership in my name, add the membership in your name, and have me come to the thing as your guest, since I don't use it as much. Whatever you got to do, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So whatever you're spending your money on is supposed to turn a profit. I can tell you just this past month. Now, we've been talking about how I can save $100 a month on my phone bill just by calling the phone company once a month. Phone bill is high enough for them to take $100 off of my phone bill, and I'm still paying more than $100 for a phone bill. So it's not like I'm getting my phone bill for free, but they are taking about 30 to 35% off of my phone bill every month on a monthly basis. Now, in addition to that, I'm able to reorganize the budget because I'm able to utilize the resources inside of the house, access to smart TVs, and utilize free television. So instead of wasting money on a cable bill, I relied on internet service to provide to the cable to provide a substitution to the cable bill, and eliminated a $245 cable bill. By eliminating the $245 cable bill, I'm able to save a lot more money in the household. Likewise, by combining, I know that when you guys get into your relationships, you got your phone bill and she's got her phone bill, but every phone company, cell phone companies especially, does a rebate or reduction level for additional lines. So you both individually might pay a base rate of a certain amount of money per month, but if you combine both of those phones onto the same line, one of you is going to get a phone for 50% off for the same service. So if you have multiple lines in the same household and you combined all of those lines, because this is the thing, as long as you guys take care of the phone bill, all of those phone numbers are going to still be the same. You're just changing carriers. Now, if you decide that you guys want to break up, that's fine. All you have to do is take your phone number and go to a new carrier, go back to your old carrier, get a separate line and take your line with you. You guys should be able to separate in a mature fashion as adults and say, look, if we're not going to be together anymore, we're going to separate our phone lines. We're going to call the phone company. We're going to take your number, transfer it over to an individual line, and no longer do the group thing. And that can happen. You guys can write that up in your contract as part of a prenuptial agreement, is separating of assets and resources, where you're not being bitter about it. You're not going to cut off the phone, cut off your partner's phone service, or anything like that. You're going to literally part ways in an appropriate fashion. Likewise, Likewise, the fact is by consolidating, if there's extra cell phones in the house, if you got the second line or the third line free kind of situation, the extra phone that you're adding onto your line is not going to raise your phone bill. So if your partner's going to pay a percentage of the phone bill because they're no longer paying the full totality of their phone bill, that cuts your phone bill expense in half. So if each of you has the same phone from AT&T or T-Mobile and you're paying $70 a month for an unlimited plan per person, you put two phones on the same line, and that same phone company is going to charge you $35 for the second line. You can both put $70 a month on the phone, because instead of paying $70 for the phone, you're now paying $110 with taxes, right? But if you both put $70 down on the phone, because she was paying 70 and he was paying 70, you're putting $140 down on the phone, which is actually overpaying the phone bill by $20 a month, which actually reduces the expectation of paying the phone bill every month, and ironically starts building you a blanket on your phone bill. So if in the event that something happens where an emergency needs to be paid, you're probably a month or 2 months ahead on your phone bill, and you don't necessarily have to put money on the phone bill that month. You can reorganize your budget. Your phone is still paid for, and you don't have to worry about robbing Peter to pay Paul. Likewise, a lot of the phone companies are starting to switch up to charging the overages onto your account. So, for example, I was able to buy extra phones and add extra lines because I had extra money on my account, because I overpay my account on a regular basis. So instead of having to go down to the store and put money down on a phone, I was able to call customer service and have them charge it to the bill and just mail me the phone. So essentially, I paid for the phone, but it didn't come out of pocket today. I've been putting that money away on my phone bill for however long I've been putting that money away on my phone bill. So I can use the credits on the account, which is the negative balance. Because if your balance is a positive due balance, that's how much you owe. If it's a negative balance, that's how much they owe you. So if you have a negative balance on your account, that's a positive credit on your account. And then if you want a phone that's inside of that amount of money, you can call them and say, hey, charge it to my account. Oh, okay, I see that your account is negative da 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 da, and the phone costs less than that. We'll take it out of that amount of money. This is how much money you'll have left as available credit onto your account, which will go towards your next bill. And essentially, potentially still have a $0 balance on that bill because you're overpaying on the bill. So you don't necessarily have to say, well, since it only costs $35 a month, now the primary account holder is paying 70 and the secondary account holder is only paying 35. You can do that, but you also have to understand that we're going to be talking about that in just a moment, that if you're both putting into joint resources, that you're both supposed to be in an egalitarian society, equally putting in on joint resources. So you want to make sure that you allocate wisely, and you want to review your income and your expenses to determine how much you can afford to spend on dating each month. Me personally, I wouldn't waste any money on dating each month. I would be confirming with my partner as to how much money that I could afford to invest each month. And then we will determine how much of the interest we will go on a date with each month. Still, you're doing the same, you're doing it differently. Because if you're from the mindset of a poor mindset, you're taking your principal and you're saying, well, we can only spend this much money. We got $500 extra. We can spend that $500 extra on a date, right? Or you can put that extra money into a stock option that's giving you 20%, right? And now you're getting $20 off of every $100 that's in the account. If you just put up $100, that's an extra $100 that's coming to you every month. Now, you're getting $100 a month. You might do a date that costs under $100 a month. That $500 a month that you put into that stock option is always going to be there, but you're always going to get that $100 a month, and you can always go do something fun for $100 a month. If you're saying that we're going to put $500 a month up every month, the first date that you go on is going to be under $100 a month, but the second date that you go on is going to be under $200 a month because you put up the extra 500 every month. The principal is still there. You're entertaining yourself off of the dividends from the principal. That's the difference. You can go from $100 a month dates to $1,000 a month dates if you want to be wasteful with the interest that you receive. But the fact is that distribution of money is going to be the distribution of money every month, unless the market crashes again. But I doubt that we're going to see another market crash. Usually it's 4 to 8 years. Every 4 to 8 years, there's a market crash. So recognizing that, you want to put yourself in a position where you're not being negatively impacted by the market crash. So you also want to consider setting up separate dating funds to keep track of these expenses. So if you're going to save for a date, you keep putting your money away. And then when you can afford to go out onto a date, you can start planning with the available dating fund. Now, if there isn't any money in the account, or if you decide to redirect the dating fund for an emergency because your emergency fund didn't cover the expenses, then you understand that you no longer have a dating fund, which means you guys aren't going out on dates for a while until you start recouping the dating fund. This will keep track of your spending habits. Now, you want to prioritize needs over wants. You want to be honest about what you can afford and avoid overspending on dates that might strain your finances. So, fellas, instead of us going for broke on every single first date trying to impress a different girl every time, it is more feasible for us and more realistic for us as men to be careful, cautious, and mindful about exactly how much we intend on spending on this first date scenario. Now, you want to list all of your expenses, categorize expenses as needed. You want to keep adding them up. The list, I mean, not necessarily the total values, but you do want to have a total value so that you know what the overall expenses of the household is. But you want to categorize your expenses as needed, and the household foods and healthcare and any other things that you would need. Then the wants that you're going to be categorizing is entertainment, hobbies, social media platforms, gaming, any type of subscriptions that is not a bare necessity. That is your wants. And you can negotiate whether or not you're going to get those wants based off of your ability to afford your needs. You're going to allocate resources collectively. So, ladies, you're trying to be in an egalitarian relationship. You're going to be able to discuss with your partner and make sure that you ensure that the needs are fully covered for all parties involved before allocating money to anything that you want. And let's be honest, ladies, your hair, nails, and makeup is not a necessity. It's a want. Because when you don't got enough money to take care of the kids, you're not getting your hair and nails done. You're not putting makeup on your face. You're going out there looking busted, and you're making sure the kids got the food and clothes and other stuff that they need. So you got to remember that you looking cute or sexually attractive is not a need. That is a want. So make sure that you understand the difference between the two. And then you want to go ahead and use yours, mine, and ours approaches to financial autonomy. Now, you want to use your joint account for necessities. This is going to cover the ours stuff. So, and this also helps with divorce because anything that we bought together was bought from the our account. And that's going to be stuff that's going to be separated 50-50. When you use a shared account for essential expenses and savings goals, you can better assess the overall investments of both parties in a relationship. You also want to make sure that you don't over invest into a joint scenario until you are in a situation where your partner is matching that, almost like a 401k with the company. If your partner is going to put up 1,000, you're putting up 1,000. If your partner's putting up 10,000, you're putting up 10,000. If you're putting up 10,000 and your partner's putting up 1,000, you're going to have to reassess the situation because you're not overspending as opposed to your partner. in our scenario, a joint egalitarian scenario. Now, under this, the expectations that the man is going to be the breadwinner and he's going to spend 100% of his money on everything, that's when you start having more of a dictatorship that the women don't want to be a part of, specifically because the primary shareholder is supposed to have the primary decision making of the estate, of the company, of the relationship. So if you want to have equal say in this situation, you have to negotiate by equal contributions. So if there's a 50-50 investment here, then there should be a 50-50 decision making there. However, if you're selecting a man the way you select a lawyer, and that man is supposed to represent all of your best interests, then you're really supposed to allow him to make those decisions and follow his lead, since he's supposed to be the leader that you're looking for. And that's a characteristic trait that you're supposed to be paying attention to, that he makes decisions the way you would make decisions, or at least in a satisfactory fashion where you would not be disappointed with his decision-making process, which relinquishes you from having the requirement to make that decision. Doesn't stop him from deliberating with you as to his projections and plans going forward. It just means that as he attempts to execute these situations, he only needs to update you on the outcome. Now, personal accounts for discretionary spending is important. So adjacent to the joint accounts, you have personal accounts for discretionary spending. You want to maintain individual accounts for personal wants. And this is going to be the stuff that the looking cute that you believe that's a need. It's not a need, it's a want. And that's going to be what you personally take care of with your own personal contributions to your personal account, allowing for your financial autonomy. Guys that want to soup up their cars and subwoofers all over the place and 30-inch rims and lift kits and drop kits and all this other stuff that you got, video games and everything, that's coming out of your personal accounts. That's not coming out of the joint account. That's coming out of the personal account. So you want to be mindful of budgeting with gifts for your partners as well, because surprise gifts will be budgeted from your personal discretionary spending, since the surprise will not involve a unified decisional process, meaning that since if I'm going to surprise you with a ring or a necklace or something to that effect, and that surprise is going to be a substantial contribution from me, not from us, it's going to come from my individual account, and I have to put money aside for that out of the things that I want, because I want you to have this. You don't need this. Again, wants are in your personal account, needs are in your joint account. If we want to do something together, then we want to put that in a joint account that we are both investing in. Be sure not to siphon from joint investments or reduce contributions to joint spending to offset the things that you want to get exclusively, whether it's for yourself or for someone else. While the gesture is nice, the gesture cannot exceed the spending threshold, because you must implement a decision-making process by setting a spending threshold, agreeing on a dollar amount of which both partners must decide and approve purchases. So I might be able to surprise you with a certain amount of gift value, but when we start talking about if it's over a certain number of thousands, then we've got to talk about this together, right? So if you want a new car, that car costs more than a certain amount of money, fine. We have to talk about that. If I'm going to put that money aside to save up to get you that car, fine. I'm going to put the money aside. But if we're going to agree that I'm going to get you a new car, or we're going to agree that you need a car and that money needs to be allocated towards that car, that is the discussion that gives me the green light to get the gift now. Right? Now, I understand that some people are like, oh, no, that's not going to work. If it's a surprise, you don't want to tip them off. Agreeing that we should put money aside to get you a car, and then the money that I saved up to get you a car is used to get you a car. We agreed that I should get you a car. If we agree that the car should be valued at a certain amount of money, we agreed that the car should be inside of a certain amount of money. So we did all of the discussions of meeting the expectations of the decision-making process. I just took my share of the money and executed the agreement. That's the surprise. Ladies that want to get married, they're going to start demanding the engagement before the engagement ring comes out. Discussing the price of the engagement ring determines how much I'm allowed to pay for the engagement ring versus how much I'm willing to pay for the engagement ring. Discussing the value of the type of proposal that she would prefer to experience versus how much I'm willing to pay for that experience. That discussion can happen. And then that sets the guidelines as to how much I'm supposed to pay for the ring, how much I'm supposed to set up for the proposal. And then the surprise is inside of the agreed upon budget, because the surprise isn't necessarily how much it is. The surprise is when I present it to you. So we've already agreed on this a month ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. And since we've already agreed on this, now that I'm executing it in line with past agreements. Now you want to evaluate your large expenses for significant expenditures, assets. You want to make sure that you assess these, whether they align with your shared financial priorities or not. You want to make sure that you evaluate why you're paying for the high values that you're paying for. So if you've got a $500 phone bill, why is it so high? What all are you paying for? You got a $700 car note. Why is it so high? Can you refinance it? Can you trade it in and get a cheaper car? Is it worth the value that you're paying for it? Worth it meaning, like, are you getting the effort out of the expense? Really analyze it. You can look at that with cable companies these days. Is the cable company providing you with the stuff that you need to be successful? If you're paying $200-$300 a month for cable, if you're paying $50 a month for cable, if the channels that you're watching on cable can be provided by an alternative source, and that source is cheaper than your cable company, you might want to change. If you are capable of reducing your major expenditures by substituting those expenditures with a satisfactory service, then you don't need to pay as much. Now, you want to do regular financial check-ins. Periodically review your budget and goals, because sometimes you guys get raises. Sometimes you guys have to work less hours. Sometimes you go from working 2 jobs to 1 job. Sometimes you get fired and have to get you another job and you start over at a lower pay rate. So you have to reassess these things, and then adjusting as needed to ensure that you're still prioritizing your needs over your wants. So when you had more money in your pocket and you guys were still focusing on lavish spending, once things change and you don't have the financial capacity to cover the lavish spending, you have to reassess your scenario. If you guys used to have an overabundance of extra capital, and then let's say children came about, and now you have more expenses with children than what you have with free time and entertainment, you might have to reassess your priorities because you have new obligations. You want to address changes together. And as circumstances change, you want to work as a team to realign your financial priorities. You might have wanted to go to college, but now that you got kids, you can't afford college and diapers. So you got to prioritize the kids. But after the kids reach a certain age where the budget surpasses the sustainability of the child, and then you still want to go back to that college endeavor, instead of putting your ambitions on hold for the rest of your life, you could actually work out a way where the children get the child care, your responsibilities are fulfilled, and you're still able to go and achieve that college dream, finish the college drive that you once had. This is going to give you the ability to prioritize unexpected changes in your life and still be able to try to achieve some of the goals, dreams, and aspirations that you've once had. Now, free activities is going to be really important. You want to opt for free or low-cost activities like walking in the park, attending local festivals, or having a picnic. Low-cost options where you consider meeting for coffee, going out for breakfast, or grabbing drinks during happy hour. You can also, and drinks during happy hour is awesome because if you're going to go out and have you a couple drinks, if you're having drinks where it's buy one get one free, you both can get the same drink and you guys can try something new. So you can get her drink or she can get your drink and you buy two of them, and or you can both have a separate drink and then just buy two of them in a buy one get one free scenario. You have the abilities to pay less money for the same amount of drinks. But if you're drinking with moderation, you should only have 2 to 4 drinks per person in a public over the course of a number of hours, which would be 4 to 8 drinks total. And the drink prices should be less than $10 a glass. And if you're doing buy one get one free, you're getting 2 glasses for $10 per person, so it's $20 for 4 glasses. So you should still be paying $40 for the two of you plus the tip. And if you're tipping 20%, you're tipping almost another $10 after taxes, which means you just spent about $50 to have 8 drinks between the two of you for happy hour. You see how that math added up quickly. You don't necessarily have to go out for breakfast. You guys could take turns cooking breakfast for each other. It's actually more affordable to cook at home in America. Now, other countries, it might cost more money to cook at home than what it does to eat out. And in those scenarios, you might be able to find it not only more feasible time-wise, because the journey to the breakfast could be in addition to the date, and then being served by someone else instead of having to put all this effort into preparing a meal could also benefit the experience of setting up a romantic interlude for each other. Now, use coupons and rewards and look for those coupons, discounts, and loyalty programs at the restaurants or entertainment venues that you guys frequent. And this will allow you guys to save a little bit of money. Never be too embarrassed to go and find a good deal, a Groupon or something. Because back in the day, we used to clip coupons out of the newspaper, and when the internet was new, we used to be able to download and print coupons offline. If you can find a deal that gives you the ability to say, hey, Easter's coming up. There's an Easter festival. There's an Easter activity. There's an Easter something or other that we're going to go and do. And then you go and tackle that. Then you're able to put yourself in the position that you need to be in to set up that date in a more financially appropriate scenario. You want to take advantage of weekday deals. Many restaurants and bars offer discounts on weekdays, which can be a cost-effective option for dates. You want to be honest and discuss your financial situation with your partner to ensure you're both on the same page and can plan dates accordingly. So being honest with your partner, you got to talk about your availability, your work schedule. If you're trying to make plans to go on a weekday date, you got to know when your partner is off. You've got to know if and when you guys have the ability to afford to not only financially, but time-wise contribute to this particular type of activity. Now, doing so, you guys will be able to make sure that you're planning things together. Now, you're setting a budget for dates together and deciding on how to allocate those funds for those special occasions versus regular dates. And that is a different type of budget. And when I talk about special occasions, I'm talking about Father's Day, Mother's Day, his birthday, her birthday, anniversary dates. These are special occasions where this type of date is supposed to be a little bit more to do, upscale, or in some way, shape, or form more involved than the regular dates. You want to make sure that you balance your expenses. You want to alternate between expensive and free dates to maintain a balanced budget. For example, go out for a nice dinner one week and go back and do those picnics on another week. You can push each other on the swing and rope swing and monkey bars and stuff like that, like we used to do when we were kids. Go see sunsets, romantic walks on the beach, nature hikes, biking. There's all kinds of things that you guys can do that is less expensive than the bowling, movies, uh, uh, laser tag, and other activities that could also be fun activities that are a little bit more pricey these days. You want to also alternate who pays for the expensive dates, because I know that there's a swindler style behavior where every other date I'll pay, and every other date we'll do a free one, and it's my date when it's time to pay, and it's your date when it's time for free. No, that doesn't work that way. We alternate between when we pay, and we alternate between who pays. I might pay for the expensive date this time. You're paying for the expensive date next time. In between those two payments, we'll have a free date where neither one of us pays. And after you've paid, we'll have another free date, which means I'm actually paying for 1 out of 3 dates. You're paying for 1 out of 3 dates, but actually, no, when we think about it, I'm paying for 1 out of 4 dates, and you're paying for 1 out of 4 dates because we had 2 free dates and 2 expensive dates, or 2 free dates and 2 less expensive dates, however you work that out. But that prevents you from going to either one person from going broke trying to satisfy the dating phase. Now, financial transparency builds trust and strong foundations in a relationship. And when both partners are open and honest about their finances, it creates a sense of security and stability. So you can avoid unnecessary conflict and work together to achieve your financial goals. Now, you want to remember financial alignment is key to a healthy and happy relationship. So it is smart dating for money-minded folks to always think about aligning financial values and working together to achieve those financial goals. By communicating openly, setting shared goals, and identifying red flags, you can build a stronger and more secure relationship. Don't be afraid to prioritize your financial values in your dating life. It might just lead to a more fulfilling and long-lasting relationship. So, if you've got a dating experience related to finance, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And be sure to check out some of the other videos that we have for the rest of the week, where we have a lot more insight on relationships and personal finance coming soon. What did you guys think about the information that I provided you today? Were you able to implement a lot of these things to your upcoming dating styles? We'll find out soon enough. I know Ruderus took a lot of my advice a few weeks ago, and he's juggling between going to school and taking care of things with exams versus showing his value in his girlfriend. They play chess together, which that's a free game. We could play chess online. There are a lot of ways that we can put this together for ourselves, where we can make money for ourselves in our relationships individually. We can invest in ourselves successfully individually, but we can also work towards the success of our partners. And ladies, those egalitarian ladies, those alpha boss ladies that are looking to have a successful relationship going forward, you ladies are able to find the right person that matches with your financial goals and matches with your values, while you match with theirs, where you don't actually feel like you're in an oppressed, overbearing relationship where you have to submit to the traditional roles. You actually can find a partner that works with you as an equal partner, where it's not necessarily equal, it's fair and balanced, where what you expect to do, you're able to do, and what he's expecting you to do, you're willing to do. Now, keep in mind, though, the traditional roles have shifted so much. So, ladies, y'all don't have to be in the kitchen cooking and cleaning and other stuff. That the guys can do that, because actually, when you think about it, these days men are better cooks than women, and most of the restaurants have a kitchen full of men cooking. The man can cook and clean at the house, and the woman can do some of the hard stuff in the yard. It doesn't necessarily have to be gender exclusive, but you are supposed to find ways to work together as a team where what one person doesn't want to do, another person is doing, and no one person is doing the most work 100% of the time. It might be 60-40 on one thing, but it should be 40-60 on the next. If I'm doing more of one thing, you should be doing more of something else where the balance still is there. I'm doing more stuff inside of the house, you're doing more stuff outside of the house. And then when we both leave the house, we're alternating who's being responsible for what. There are a lot of things that I can set on my day off so that I can take care of business during the day. And then if you're off during the week, you're going to be doing certain things on your day off where we're still getting stuff done. We have plans and alterations. If you guys have two cars in a family and one car is more luxurious than the other car, you guys might want to take turns driving the nice car. You've got a business meeting. You want to take the nice car to the business meeting. You take the bad car on days when you don't have to show off the business meeting car. You guys can work these things out. The sharing of resources. And if you start combining your resources, like combining the car insurance, combining phone bills, doing away with unnecessary cable bills. If you both work and nobody's at home on a regular basis, you might want to use the apps off of your cell phones and Comcast them to your smart TVs and then pay the $20 a month for the service that you're getting on your cell phone. Share that, because Netflix is $24 a month, and that is way cheaper to watch as many movies as you have time for than it is for you to be trying to pay $200 a month for cable when you're never home. One of you could be paying $20 a month for Netflix, and the other one could be paying for Disney Plus or Hulu or Stars or whatever. And between the two of you, you've got all of the entertainment that y'all need for the limited availability if you're both full-time workers. You limit the subscriptions you don't have time for, which maximizes the discretionary funds. And then if you follow my lead and you would invest those discretionary funds into high interest yield accounts, and you guys spend more time investing money, you can spend more time living off of those investments. And then you start having a good time off of those investments. And me, myself, I would go the extra mile and invest everything extra in investments, and then take the dividends distributed from those investments and utilize that to offset the overhead and cover all of the monthly bills. If the monthly bills are being paid for by the dividends coming from the investments, then guess what happens? My stock option is paying for my household income. And if my stock option is paying for my household income, my paycheck is going directly into the stock option. So what's happening to the stock option? The principal is getting bigger. The monthly or weekly, annual, semi-annual dividends are coming out, are going to start getting larger as well, which also means that we're going to reach a point where we both can quit our jobs and just live off of the interest. The more money we put into our investments, the more money that we build wealth with, the more dividends that we get every month or every annual distribution that we go off of, and the more money that we get coming back to us, the more extra money we have. The more extra money we have, the more stuff we can cover. The more extra money is left over, the more we can reinvest it into the stock option. You reach a point where, and this is where you stop doing everything. You reach a point where at least 30% of your dividends returned to you is covering your overhead, where the other 70% is discretionary. That's when you can take 50% of your 70%, which is 40%, 35%, reinvest it back into the stock option and take the other 35% and invest it. Spend it. So that means that if you reach a point where $350 out of every $1,000 that's being paid to you from your stock option goes to bills, and then $350 out of every $1,000 that comes off your stock option goes back into the stock option, that means that $400 out of your stock option that comes to you, you get to spend out of every $1,000 that comes in from your stock option, you get to spend on each other. And that's just doing the math on a small scale. When you start doing on a large scale with 120,000, where 30% of that should be something close to 40,000, and you're reinvesting 40,000, and you're spending $40,000 on entertainment, you actually could cover a $60,000 lifestyle, reinvest $40,000 and have $20,000 of discretionary funds to waste on $120,000 worth of dividends being distributed to you from investments on stock options. So if you set the right goals financially, you could put yourself in a position where you can meet all of your expectations, all of your partner's expectations. You can meet the personal needs of your partner, which keeps your partner valued, validated, and sustained. And then your needs are being met by your partner, which also keeps you valued, validated, and sustained. Now you both have more respect for each other, which gives you guys more time and effort and ability to focus on each other instead of stressing over things individually. You're supposed to develop a level of codependency towards one another while maintaining a personal autonomy. You are your own individual, but you recognize that you're part of a collective now. And if your mindset works as such, I can't make a decision that will negatively impact the collective. But I can talk to the collective about it before I make a decision, which is the reason why in big business that they always encourage the person in the business deal to go talk to their partner about it, because this is a lot of money. You want to make sure that your partner's okay with this, because you can't pull out because he or she said this is a bad idea once you put the money on the table. If it can negatively impact the collective, you have to talk to the collective about it. Now, I don't have anything else for you. I cover the whole spread. If you missed most of that, you should go back and watch the show from the beginning because there's a lot of stuff that I put in a short period of time, and it's rolled over from yesterday because I covered a lot of stuff yesterday that's directly related to today, but I talked about everything today that was not talked about yesterday. So it's technically a 2-day special between yesterday and today. So if you rewatch some of the shows, you'll be able to see some of these things and take this information with you. And this is stuff that you can implement today. This is stuff that you can add to your life today. And it will help you make your relationships more effective. It'll help you make your decision-making process with selecting partners for relationships more effective. It'll help you point out the things that you don't benefit from as an individual. And while we start creating that list of red flags for the fellas to avoid with mental, emotional, psychological, business sense, everything else, personal characteristics, flaws, and stuff to that effect, we're going to make these lists, and it'll be things that you can avoid in investments and things that you can avoid in social interactions. And you guys will be able to find that stuff in the membership coming soon. So make sure you like and subscribe when you come to the show. Make sure that you join that membership. Make sure that you follow us every day of the week. I see that Danny Stephan is here. He's always watching us. Red Void, we see you guys. Max Opposer, Mr. Pibbs, Reese Martinez. We really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. Usman, Nico, we really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. You guys definitely make us one of the best underrated podcasts on YouTube right now. And as we spread our viewership, because we're going to wait and see what happens with TikTok before we start trying to air on TikTok. Because we was airing on TikTok at one point in time, and we do still have an active account on TikTok, but we're gonna wait and see what happens. We're gonna let TikTok get bought out by the US before we start trying to air on TikTok. Because if the deal flops, there is still a probability that the deal will flop. It has not been locked in stone yet. But if the deal flops, we don't have access to TikTok. But if the deal doesn't flop, TikTok will be mainstream. But we have until probably, I want to say April 16th, because they gave 70 to 75 days from the 19th or 20th of January. And that is 2.5 months from January 19th. So that should be about April 16th. April 16th, April 20th, something to that effect. So we still have another 6 to 8 weeks of TikTok left before the final hour, where if the negotiations are working well, then Trump might extend it again. But if it doesn't go well, then TikTok will be banned in April. So before I start investing in a platform that potentially won't exist going forward, I'm going to wait and see for the buyout. You're going to see more of us on Twitter, though. So, because, since we're talking about Doge, Twitter X will see what we got going on. And then moving forward, we'll be able to continue making money, make money for us. So I want to thank you guys for coming to tonight's show. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I really appreciate y'all showing the support. We're about 75% fellas. Actually, in the dynamics of the podcast is between 25 and 45. There's about 50% of the podcast, and 2/3 of it is men. So middle-aged men. I really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. Definitely. And likewise, I always tell you guys, thank you for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night. And before I wrap things up, I want to make sure that you guys remember that Higher Ground, our outro, is also our intro. We have 2 variations on the show, a different one that plays for the opening, one that plays for the closing. And the one that plays for the closing is also equally accessible from the description section of this show every day of the week. So you can click a link, it takes you straight to YouTube where you can listen to it for free. If you want to purchase it for download, you can click the link, it takes you to Amazon Prime so you can go and collect it. And I wanted to do a special shout out before I walk out the door to alanito.music. It's a Switzerland band that made the podcast theme songs and all of the other songs that we have, because we have non-negotiable and expectation of protocols. So we have those up there. We have the songs listed in the description with direct links, and we have the links to purchase them in the show. I encourage you guys to take a listen to it and enjoy it. I know a lot of the people that have been coming to the show has been enjoying it. One more thing I want to let you know on our way out. I've made some adjustments to the show where we're going to basically be airing at 11 p.m. Eastern time for daylight savings time, which is about 10 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time for daylight savings time, which is almost pretty much what we air on right now, which is about midnight. Is when we about 11 o'clock right now, 12 o'clock right now. This is about the time that we're going to be airing it for daylight savings time. We've got about 8 days left before daylight savings time kicks in. So I'm just letting you guys know that I have already prepared for the change. You start seeing it in the tags and descriptions of the show that the show is changing up. Or not changing, it is adjusting and adapting to daylight savings time right now. So for the rest of you that are on Green Minutes time and Universal Standard Time, it is still going to be the 4:30 a.m. that you watch us on the channel. So you're not going to miss us. It's just that everybody that's exposed to the daylight savings time, you guys, you're going to see a time shift. So that's the special announcement I have for you guys for today. I'm going to thank you again for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night. Same back time, same back channel.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.